Hey guys, welcome to our Tuesday video for week 2 of our April curriculum. Excited to be here with you guys. Before we get going, get yourself warmed up. Jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, and then front-ups where you take that back leg and swing it straight up, get a nice stretch in your legs, 10 on each side, and then finish up with 30 seconds of mountain climbers, or you could do jogging with high knees for 30 seconds, or even hold a plank. But go ahead and get your body warmed up and we'll get going. Ready, set, go. All right, guys, so first thing we're going to go over today is a couple of different stances. Stance means the way you stand, and there's different ways to stand, right? In class, we have attention stance, where your feet are all the way together, hands are nice and tight at your side, and you're looking straight forward. That's attention stance. We also have one called Chimbi stance. That's the one we do at the end of class. And then as you move up into warriors and you learn how to do different katas, that's also a position of courage and readiness. Okay, and then we've got ready stance. You guys all know that one. Ready for defense or offense, ready for whatever you need with those hands up and out saying no. Okay, so two stances we're going to work on today are long forward stance and then straddle stance. Okay, long forward stance is part of martial arts. If you watch videos of guys doing martial arts, you'll see a lot of them in that position. It's a position used to gain power in certain moves, and it also looks pretty cool too, depending on what it is that you're doing. So long forward stance is like a ready stance, but bigger. Okay, so a normal ready stance looks like this, right? My feet are only about this far apart. I've got both feet facing forward. I've got my hands in a good ready position. Notice my feet are not on a tightrope. We never want to be on a tightrope, but they're about the same width as my shoulders. That's a ready stance. Here is a long forward stance. Okay, now you'll see my feet are now wider than my shoulders. Okay, and the distance my feet are apart is much farther. Okay, I've got a really deep bend in that front knee, but I've also got my heel of my back foot driving into the floor, right? We don't want to be leaning forward like this. We are going to be super steady. This is a really strong stance. It's hard to fall over in this one, okay? Unless your feet are too narrow, then yeah, it's hard to balance. So it's a balance of feet being wide and far apart with that back heel driving into the floor and that front knee bent nice and deep. And then just like a ready stance, your hands come up right here, okay? So what I want you to do is find this position for you, okay? Usually what I like to do is, if you can imagine an X on the floor, in the school we have them, but imagine your back foot stays on the X and your front foot follows the line of the X going out this way. And now you're wider and longer. Keep that heel, back heel pressed into the floor. Nice deep bend to the knee and those hands come up. Okay? And then what you want to do once you've found that position, you want to be able to go in either direction. Long forward stance with the other foot. Feet are wider than my shoulders. Hands in good ready position. Back heel is pressing into the floor. I don't want to have my back foot turned out to the side like this, because then you can actually be pushed back and it's a lot hard. It's not as steady. So try to get that back foot with the toes pointing forward as best you can. A tiny bit of an angle isn't horrible, but you want to have your feet as parallel as possible. Just don't have that back one turned out like this, okay? So that is a long forward stance. One more time from the side. It's much longer than a ready stance. It's deeper. My knee is bent more. Heel is driving into the ground. All 10 toes are pointed forward with those hands in good ready position. So what I want you to practice doing, once you have felt how that position feels, I want you to practice stepping into it, into the same spot every time. Come back. Step into it. Make sure all 10 toes are pointing forward. Come back. notice I'm stepping off to the side. If I go straight forward, now my feet are way too narrow, and then I can get all wobbly, right? So it's out and to the side, wider than my shoulders are apart. Come back and step out and to the side and come back. And I want you to practice feeling that, because eventually what we're going to do is combine this with our inside block that we've learned and some shifting in the footwork. And if you do it like this, it's not going to work. You got to have that deep stance, that long forward stance, because eventually we're going to do this. And then I switched my feet, but we'll get to that next time. Just wanted to make sure you guys get a good feel for that long forward stance, stepping into it every time. Off to the side, hands still come up like a ready stance, but it goes a little farther, wider, and deeper. All right, so have some fun practicing that long forward stance. Ready, set, go. Okay, next stance we're gonna learn today is a straddle stance, or for those of us who like to work out, it's a squat. All right, but then you hold it. So notice right now I have my feet about the same width as my shoulders, and I want them to be just wider than my shoulders, right about here, okay? So if there was a straight line going down to the ground from my shoulders, my feet are now outside of that. Now, there's lots of different things we can do with our hands in a straddle stance, but today we're just gonna have our hands up in good ready position. Now, when you go down into the straddle stance, some people call it a horse stance or a saddle stance. Imagine riding a horse. Well, you have to bend your knees and have your bottom out behind you. Now notice I'm not bending over like this, and I'm not like this. I've got my hands up, I've got my chest up, and look at how I can still wiggle my toes. That means I'm putting my weight in my heels, which is where I want it. If I'm leaning forward onto my toes, that really puts the strain on your knees, and it starts to hurt really quickly. Okay, so you can have your toes turned out a little bit. You don't want to be all the way out like this, but it's okay if they're angled out a little bit. Wiggle your toes and lower your bottom down. It feels a little weird because our natural instinct is more to go this way, but the idea is weight in the heels. I push my bottom back as I keep my chest up, okay? I want to avoid going like this. It does feel like it's easier to balance, but I want to stand up as straight and tall as I can with those hands up, okay? Wiggle those toes. Make sure you're not leaning forward like this, because that'll hurt your knees, okay? So straddle stance, hands up. Bring your weight down, and then see how long you can hold it. That's what I want you to do with that straddle stance, while keeping your balance and keeping your arms and chest up, keeping the weight in your heels as you go down, and then hold it. I want to challenge you to hold it for at least 30 seconds. Let's do that together right now. So find your right position. Okay. Hands are up, chest is up, weight in the heels, and 30 seconds begins now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Keep that chest up. Weight in the heels, bottom low. Got about 10 more seconds to go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so that is straddle stance. That'll really help you get strong muscles in your legs. Good job. Let's move on to the next thing. Guys, next up, we're gonna just spend a little bit of time reviewing the pivot front kick. Pivot tells us that when we're in our ready stance, we use our back leg. Front kick has the 4 parts: chamber, kick, retract, back to balance. All right, and today what I want you to do is focus on your targeting, on what you are kicking at, but not with power. Okay, so what that means is, here in class, we're going to be using these rings to practice kicking through. If I had someone holding this ring for me, I would do my chamber, stick the foot through, come back to balance, okay? So that's really focusing on getting those 4 parts, but also focusing on where you're kicking, getting it in just the right position, but then also retract back to balance, because if I just go too fast and, right, there's a good chance I might knock it down. Okay, so it's focusing on balance control and targeting, okay? Now, if you guys don't have rings at home, most people don't, right? And you guys just have some of these at home. Your helper can hold it up for you, and you go nice and slow, right? Chamber, just touch the T right in the middle and bring it right back and set it back down, right? So it's not power, but it's practicing that control and targeting. Aim right for that T again, stick it out, bring it back, come in, okay? So practicing those 4 parts with some really focused targeting. Now, if you don't have someone to hold something for you, you can pick a spot, maybe on a piece of furniture. I will say maybe you could do it on the wall, but you would have to just barely, lightly touch it. Maybe even like tape a piece of paper up there so you're not putting your dirty foot on the wall, because I know some parents do not like hands and feet on their walls, okay? But pick a spot and practice slowly targeting with all 4 parts. And if you touch your target, then you got to pull your foot back and then set it back down, right? You don't want to touch your target and then just swipe it down, okay? But slow and controlled, chamber, touch the target, come back, set it back down. So when you touch the target, I want you to touch it with the ball of your foot, okay? So have some fun practicing that nice, slow, controlled targeting, pivot, front, kick. Do 10 on each side. Ready, set, go. Okay, the next thing we're going to go over today is a hammer fist strike. Hammer fist means you're swinging the arm and coming down this way. It may be down, it may be forward, but the idea is that you're hitting with the pinky side of your fist. So you got to have a nice tight squeeze fist. Do not put your thumb in your fingers, but keep that thumb out wrapped around your fingers. And the tighter you squeeze it, the harder this part of your hand gets. It's kind of squishy if it's loose, but then if you squeeze really tight, it toughens up there a little bit, okay? Imagine rock, paper, scissors, right? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot, right? That is the same motion that a hammer fist is going to be, okay? But the key to a powerful hammer fist is not swinging your arm up and down as hard as you can go. That's for playing drums. You don't need lots of power to bang a drum with a stick. What you need is body weight. That means when I go to do a hammer fist, I come up, but then just like that straddle stance we learned a couple minutes ago, boom, bring that weight down, and I'm not bending down, I am straddling down, I'm squatting down, boom, all the way down. So from up here, you can bring it as high as you want. As kids, the more distance you have to swing, the more power you're going to get. Okay, as you get more advanced, we teach you to keep it a little tighter, boom, and go from right there. But kids, you can bring it up above your head. And as you swing down, you go down into that straddle stance, boom, bring that weight all the way down. See how low my bottom is, but my chest is up, my eyes are up, so I can see you guys. Because if I go like this, no. Well, now I can't see what's going on, so you got to keep your eyes and head up. Okay, so one more time, bring that hand up, and then drop your weight down, and then bring the other hand up and drop your weight down. So we're getting a nice workout in our thighs today. Okay, so bring it up, drop the weight down, bring it up, drop the weight down. And so then when you go to hit something with power, you're using your voice and you're going, no, no. Okay, so here's how I want you to practice it. If you have something at home that you can set on the floor and hit, maybe a stack of pillows or couch cushion, something that your parents give you permission to use. Okay, I'm just going to use this cushion today. I want you to have fun with it, and you're going to get a little worn out, but someone set a timer for 30 seconds, or if you have a clock that you can see, or if you have a timer on something that you own, if there's a timer that you can use on your own, set it for 30 seconds. And for 30 seconds, you're going to go like this. No, no, no. Going up and down, swinging nice and hard, okay? Now, if you guys don't have cushions at home that you can use, that's okay. If you guys have some of these fun things right here, your helper can put them on and hold them out like this. They could even kneel down so you're nice and low. And you practice hammer fist on each one. Person who's holding the mitts, you can let it swing down as they hit, because if you brace against it and it doesn't feel good on their hand, then they won't hit as hard. And we want them to practice hitting hard. So when they hit it, boom, let it go down. You don't have to brace against it and not let it move. Okay, but we want them to hit as hard as they can for 30 seconds, using their voice, dropping the body weight, okay? Make sure you don't start going like this. No, no, right? Because then there's no more body weight and you're bent over and you can't see the bad guy's friend coming in to get you, okay? You could also do it from down on your knees, but if you're doing it from your knees, you have to keep your bottom up, right? This doesn't count. I'm not using any body weight. I've got to be up, no, 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 right? Coming all the way up every time between each hit, okay? So if you want to do it from your knees, that's okay too. Or you have someone holding the mitts for you, or you do it from a standing position, working your straddle as you go down. Either way, I want you to do 30 seconds of hammer fist, nice tight fist, hitting with the pinky side of your hand, keeping it tight, and hitting hard using your voice the entire time. So have some fun with those hammer fist strikes. Use that body weight and use your voice. Ready, set, go. All right, guys, today we're talking about number 2 and number 3 on our sheet. Number 2 today is not being overconfident. Okay, now in one of our words that we do work on is confidence, believing in yourself. Okay, but there is such thing as being overconfident or too confident. Some people would call that being cocky or a know-it-all. It usually means that you think that you already know everything you need to know and you don't need someone else teaching you anything. Okay, sometimes I get new kids come into my class who say, oh, I know how to do karate. I know, because I've been watching Cobra Kai and Karate Kid, and I know all the moves. And they, and then when I'm teaching them how to do stuff, I have to give them lots of corrections and say, no, that's not what we're doing. You need to do it like this. And so then sometimes they feel a little silly because they thought they knew, and they came in and told me they knew, and then they learned and realized, oh, I don't know it. Okay, and it's okay to say, I don't know how to do this. I'm not sure how to do this. I haven't learned how to do this before. Okay, but really the point of not being overconfident is always being ready to learn, willing to try harder, learn new things. Even if you think you're already pretty good at something, there's always going to be someone who's better at it than you are, and they can give you tips and tricks, little ways to change something so that you can get even better, and then go on to share those things with other people who are learning the same thing. Okay, when we're overconfident, sometimes we can end up hurting ourselves, right? Oh, I know how to do a forward roll. And then face plant on the ground and scrape up your face or something, right? So let people who are teaching you teach you the steps to learn something correctly, okay? Or even if you've done it before and you think, oh, I already know how to do this, can't I just go? Wait and listen as the teacher teaches each little thing. You may pick up on something that you forgot, or that you realize, or when someone comes around and says, hey, that's pretty good, but try doing this too, and then you might realize, oh, I wasn't doing that little thing before. Okay, so not being overconfident means always be willing to learn more. Okay? Number 3, look to my authorities for protection when I am in over my head. Okay, sometimes we get into a situation where we don't know what to do. It might be learning how to do a martial arts move, but it might also be a situation where you're on the playground and you see somebody getting bullied and you tried standing up for them and saying, hey, leave them alone, and then they just shoved you out of the way and kept picking on that person, right? Well, that's when it's time to go get help. Look to my authorities for protection. You don't have to face everything alone. You don't have to learn everything alone, but you can ask for help when you need it. It is okay. It is always okay to ask for help. Always okay to ask questions if you're not sure what to do. Whether that's here in the martial arts school, at school, in the classroom, or on the playground, at home, out, anytime you're on a team, anytime you find yourself saying, I'm not sure what to do. That's called being in over your head, when you're not sure what to do, or you don't know what comes next, or you don't know how things are supposed to go. Ask for help, and that is okay. Remember, authorities are any adult who's in charge. Parents, grandparents, teachers, instructors, policemen, firemen, any kind of first responders, anywhere you're at where there's going to be grown-ups in charge, those are authorities, and you can ask for help when you're not sure what to do. And sometimes that's scary because maybe you're afraid they're going to be like, what? You don't know how to do that? Why don't you know how to do that? Right? Don't be afraid to ask for help. Good authorities, good leaders will always be willing to answer your questions and give you the help you need to learn how to do something correctly so that you are able to eventually do it on your own. All right? Don't be afraid to ask for help from your authorities. All right, you guys have a great day.